Hey.
Alright y'all, so even if this season hasn't been exactly what the Kings and Kings fans might have wanted after a tremendously exciting and entertaining 2023 season, if there is one thing that all of Sacramento can come together and cheer for, it's the rise of Keegan Murray in his second season. As I'm sure you all have heard, in the game against the Utah Jazz last Saturday, Keegan Murray showed up and dropped 12 3-pointers, 47 points to go with 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, became one of 7 players in NBA history to reach the 12 3-pointer mark in one game. He also became the youngest player in NBA history to accomplish that feat. Now, Keegan Murray, in the grand scheme of things, is an interesting case because obviously he was just in the news recently about, you know, the Kings potentially trading him, but then the Kings came out and said that he is essentially untouchable at this point. And I'd have to agree with them at this point in his career. He's shown enough that he's going to be a foundational piece to the Sacramento team moving forward. They have put a lot of trust in Keegan Murray to eventually fall into that role in the future. I mean, I don't know if y'all have actually listened to a Mike Brown press conference when he's talking about Keegan Murray, but that I genuinely think he's in love with him. So yeah, despite him not really getting off to the greatest of starts to his sophomore season, you know, he has fallen a bit into that sophomore slump. But we're at the 25 game mark of the season. We're about a quarter of the way through, so plenty of time for him to get out of this slump, and this game right here might just be the leaping off point that he needed. Because if y'all remember back to Summer League in this past offseason, Keegan Murray came out and absolutely balled and just looked like one of the best players in the entire Summer League circuit for the Sacramento Kings, and I think everyone kind of just collectively agreed that, you know, even though he's only a second-year player, he doesn't even belong in Summer League. He surpassed that point. Now, interestingly enough, prior to this one game, Keegan Murray was actually sitting at about 30% from 3 on 6.5 attempts, which, you know, compared to last season where he was above 40% as a rookie, obviously a huge drop-off. But after shooting at 12 of 15 in this one game, his shooting percentage from 3 has shot all the way up to 35%, which is about league average. And again, I would expect this to continue to regress closer to 40% as the season goes on. So how did Keegan Murray accomplish this career night? Well, he got a lot of help from the Utah Jazz. And let me preface this by saying that, you know, hitting 12 threes in one game is by no means an easy feat to accomplish. Again, there have only been 7 players in NBA history to do this, but again, it helps when the team you're going up against just looks completely lost on defense. I don't even know the amount of times that they just simply lost Keegan Murray in transition, or whoever was guarding him overhelped and left him wide open, despite the fact that he was raining threes in this game. It's also kind of ironic that, you know, with Klay having the record for most threes in a game at 14, everyone was saying like, oh, Keegan's chasing Klay, he might break Klay's record, because he did it in true Klay Thompson fashion. It wasn't quite, you know, 60 points on 12 dribbles or whatever that crazy game Klay had was, but every single three that Keegan Murray made in this game, he did not take a single dribble while shooting those threes. 11 of them were catch and shoot, and then the 12th one was also pretty much a catch and shoot 3, but he added a little jab step before it, so I didn't quite want to call it catch and shoot, but regardless, it doesn't really matter. The point is that Keegan Murray continues to evolve into one of the greatest sharpshooters and just catch and shoot, floor spacers, whatever you want to call it, in the entire NBA, despite him only being in his second year. Obviously, during his rookie season, he broke the record for most threes by a rookie, and even though he's not the youngest guy ever to be a rookie, it's still very impressive. And while yes, hitting 12 threes in a game is a very cool thing to do, I think the big takeaway from this game are the little nuggets of non-shooting that Keegan Murray continues to show off and improve upon, because those are the things that's going to help him evolve into an actual foundational, you know, potentially all-star piece for the Sacramento team. We're starting to see more and more people catch on that Keegan Murray is actually a pretty solid defender. He might not look like it, he might not seem like it from your first glance watching him play, but his improvement on that end of the floor from his first game till now is already very evident. He's able to defend in isolation, even against smaller guards. He has a pretty good IQ on that end of the court as well, so he's good at jumping in the passing lanes. He's always going for these little like poke from behind steals after rebounds, which I just love. It's such an easy way to, catch your opponent from a blind spot and get possession back. Plus, just at the end of the day, if Keegan Murray is able to hold his own and be an above average defender, then you can leave him on the court at end of game situations. He's not a liability. Other teams can't attack him because his 3-point shooting is that effective that you're just going to want to have it on the court. And again, despite, him being a truly great catch and shoot shooter already, he's also improving at putting the ball on the ground and playmaking after the dribble, off the dribble, however you want to call it. He even had a few plays in this game where he was chased off the 3-point line, he put the ball on the ground, and he either went into a little pull-up midi that he hit, got fouled on, or he had this one nice floater on the baseline late in the game. Even off the ball, he's continuing to show that he has the ability to cut back door, which when you're playing with Domantas Sabonis and teams are expecting it to be a handoff for a 3-point shot, very similar to what Bam Adebayo and Duncan Robinson do in Miami. Keegan is learning that he can use the defensive focus on the 3-point shot handoff that he can then fake it and cut back door for wide open dunks and layups. And on top of all of this, he is even showing some passing ability, had some really nice left-handed passes in this game to Sabonis under the hoop, had this one skip pass off a drive that is very promising for what he's going to be able to do in the future, attacking out of pick and rolls or just off of drives in general. I was also a fan of a few possessions from this game where he would grab a rebound, push it up court in transition. If he had something, he'd attack it, or if he didn't, he'd simply just pull it out and run something offensively. And again, that's just a sign of a player that knows what they're doing, again, has high IQ, and is looking for the best shot possible for their team. So again, despite the fact that the stats for Keegan Murray haven't been the most impressive leap in his sophomore season so far, I again expect those numbers to shoot up a little bit by the end of the season, but even if they don't, Murray has shown so much promise already that I am not going to be shocked when he ends up being a 20 plus per game scorer while shooting above 40% from the 3-point line on like 7-8 attempts per game. That just seems like that's just the final destination, maybe not even the final destination, but we'll be hitting that point at somewhere in Keegan Murray's career. I'm sure of it. It's going to happen. But what intrigues me the most is how the Kings are going to build around Keegan Murray, because like I mentioned earlier, they are very serious about Keegan being a foundational piece for this team. Obviously, he fits the timeline with De'Aaron Fox since he is a little bit older. He's already 23 years old. So, because as of now, he is the true X factor on this team. Malik Monk, I think he's on the last year of his deal. And even though he's a really good young player, I'm not sure if he's going to stick around. But for sure, Fox, for sure, Sabonis will probably be here for at least a couple more years. So, as good as the Kings can be, I think a lot of that is going to fall on how quickly Keegan Murray is able to improve and progress as a player. And again, I really do think all-star games are in his future. And to speak on the trade rumors one more time, because I know there were some people saying that, the Kings are calling Keegan untouchable, just like they called Tyrese Halliburton untouchable, but I think there's some necessary context to explain why those are two very different scenarios. With Halliburton, I think it was obvious that he was a lead guard that was being held back by De'Aaron Fox. I think the Kings also realized this, which is why they went out and traded him when, because Fox and Halliburton essentially, I don't want to say they play the same role because they're very different players, but they're both lead guards who want the ball in their hands. Keegan Murray, on the other hand, is someone who does not need the ball in his hands often. Again, he's a catch-and-shoot floor spacer that can play defense, which is a player that literally all 30 NBA teams want to have on their roster. Now, throw in the fact that Keegan also has the possibility to expand into an even better player than just a 3-and-D guy, and there is literally zero reason for the Kings to want to have to trade that player. So again, Keegan is there to stay in Sacramento. I'm extremely jealous of the Kings fans for being able to enjoy him for probably the next 5, 7, however many years he's going to have on his rookie contract and next contract, all that good stuff. But this is all why he is untouchable in the eyes of the Sacramento Kings front office. And that's all I got for this one. As always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all those good things, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.